I'm here with Jordan, who is a new fellow member of the Nurp community, and I'm excited to have him here talking about his experience. So thank you for taking the time today, Jordan, and I'm excited to hear about how you found out about Nurp.
Yeah, no, thank you for having me on here. So how I found out about Nerd was actually through a referral. Funny enough, my hairdresser is friends with one of your guys' other clients, who's been an active member now for a couple of years. And just the daily investing into what was happening in the past wasn't working for me. Essentially, we were growing assets in our account, but it's sitting stagnant. So just simply inflation is going to eat away at that. And that's where I wanted to look at something different.
Nice. What is your trade? Like, what's your industry? When you say you're stacking assets, what are you doing to acquire them?
So my majority of my background is cybersecurity.
Wow.
I spent the last 10 years in cybersecurity, holistically doing architecture, design, and then recently in pre-sales for the last couple of years. So really moving the meter when it comes to organizations' security posture and profile.
Nice. And prior to Nurp, did you have any investing or trading experience? I know you said you acquire assets, so no?
Yeah, like really the last couple of years has been building up assets itself. So a lot with what I did is going, well, maintaining a low overhead household debts, and then increasing the amount of wealth that we're generating. So as you go, hey, we now have like essentially a nice cushion here, but what are we doing with it? Kind of thing in a long term, as an example.
Nice. So when you came into Nurp, not having any prior knowledge, did you find it difficult or easy to use the software and deploy it into an account for yourself?
So bit of both. To be candid, actually, is the onboarding process itself was a little bit of a challenge initially. After a couple of weeks, we found out that it wasn't actually doing what it needed to do. But we had a conversation with my account manager. It was the first time we actually touched base. To be fair, it was right over Christmas. And so going into the New Year's first week of January, my account manager, we had a meeting, and I actually got on board with the intelligent trader instead. So that saved me BPS, as well as getting that time and paying that maintenance fee. But from a technological standpoint, it wasn't difficult to buy the VPS, get that stood up, give you guys the information to help bridge that piece in there. Since then, it's been great. There is a lot to learn, to be quite candid, when it comes to not just your broker selection, but how they're going to manage the assets in terms of a holding for you as well.
Well, I think that you did the right thing of not financial advice, but I'm very happy to hear that you went with the intelligent trader. I use both, right? So I do the VPS and I also have the intelligent trader, and it's night and day in how easy and effective it is. So
Yes.
speaking of the intelligent trader, which one did you go with? Or did you go with a few?
So I decided to go in with the Gold Digger. So it's still the same system that would be running in the BPS right now. There's not the intelligent trader side of it, like Argos or what have you. However, with Nurp's team automatically changing the risk profiles on their side for the master account to mirror those trades is a very ease of stress when it comes down to, because the market's open at 5 o'clock on my time on Sunday, is the daily or the weekly notice of like where we should be setting things at in not just the intelligent trader, but the VPS solution, the ATA.
Yeah.
That comes out approximately 16 hours later. And so there could be a market changer that people aren't aware of, as an example, as to what they need to be changing their settings to. And that window could expose them, as an example. Whereas with the intelligent trader, that's already being changed by one of your guys' team live when that happens. And so that back end, when the base level of risk tolerance for the master account is set at, let's say, half its normal sizing for each trade, that you don't have to worry about, as an example. Counterintuitively as well, is you don't want to be messing around with the risk parameters. From my perspective is, I did try playing with those like a 1.1, 1.2, up to 1.3, but realizing what a drawdown event is and how that scales is really, really important for people who use systems like this. is especially with their relationship with their broker, that could outposition them out of the situation of being able to make further trades. Or if the brokerage isn't happy with it, they would close their trades entirely.
So you're just going with the gold digger at the moment, correct?
Yeah, just with the gold digger at the moment, and really the consistency is just there. Like I'm looking at my account right now, and for the last 2 months, my win percentage is 96, over 96%.
Yeah.
Wins, and just like it's consistent with that. That's what it is. It's providing. It doesn't mean it's providing 20% to 30% returns because I don't have a risk parameter set that way, but it's providing a consistent basis that I don't need to look at and check. Is going, hey, if it's in a drawdown, it's going to manage it.
Yeah.
Because it's really based on what my margin levels are.
Yeah. A lot of the times when losses do occur, and the reason for them happening is when people try to interfere with the software, trying to manage the drawdown in their own regard, and it typically backfires. I just spoke with a gentleman earlier today who was in a drawdown 6%, and he went in there and manually did some things, and he took the loss. Shortly after, the software managed it, and he would have made 12%. So yeah, it's typically hands off for the most part. Of course, there are certain things which do require your attentiveness, but in most regards, what I've seen in my own accounts is that if I don't interfere, it typically saves itself.
That really is the thing. There is, even when you're mucking around, we had like a drawdown event earlier this month, or late into February into March, where the regular drawdown was sitting at about 15 to 20%, and it recovered, and there's no issues, and it wasn't a realized loss by any means. However, if you had those settings cranked at like 2x or 4x, immediately, if you started at a 400% risk profile, you would have had essentially 2 steps further out of that martingale that would have been able to deleverage your account. You'd be sitting at 80% of your equity being leveraged.
Yeah.
And you're at a very high risk of your account just being closed out in zero.
Yeah, that's why it's best to just keep the risk parameters very tolerable. Make sure that you have stop losses in place. And then also one thing that I do, of course, anything I say is not financial advice, I always believe in having multiple different softwares. For instance, all the softwares we have and the ones that are public, we only had really one loss. And during that time period, I had other softwares that made significant amount of money during that loss. So technically, I covered my loss. So I always am a big proponent in using multiple softwares. And if you are a member, you do have access to do that when you feel this is best for you. But yeah, it's really good to hear. Can I ask you, what has been your performance? I know it's very new. What do you, yeah.
So my performance, so the last 2 months here has been, we're sitting at, 21%, just over 21% for the last 2 months. Now, I did have the risk parameters set higher.
Okay.
I had them at 1.2 and 1.3. But since that big drawdown event, I was like, you know what? This stepped outside my comfort. I'm looking for long-term growth, not just immediate success. Yeah. This isn't a get-rich-quick scheme by any means. And that would be my personal just like thought of going, people need to realize or wait before they even muck around with risk profiles before they have their first big drawdown to really see how the system operates, not just when it's good, but when it's also recovering from a bad position.
I agree. And do you have so what's your stop loss in place?
So I actually have mine set with the master accounts.
Okay.
Just a hard stop, so it has the same flexibility as well. And then hearing from Jeff, he said that the Gold Digger in its history has never seen more than a 40% drawdown event. It's going, okay, so if that's the case, it really is important not to mess with the risk profile parameters, because if that was to ever occur again, you're going to be putting yourself in a situation where you may just lose whatever's in the account.
Correct. Yeah. That's true. So that's good. I'm glad to hear that somebody is finding extreme value out of the IT setup, because I think it's so much easier and it could get a lot more people with using the software effectively. The VPS, while it is good, but it has its barrier to entry for understanding how it operates. So I love hearing that you're using the Gold Digger on the IT, and 21%. Again, anyone watching this, that's totally not normal, but it is doable. It's happened, and it has happened for you. That's great. Would you say that this product is something you would recommend to others by any means?
Right now, I'm still in the like assessment myself. Yeah, is what I've seen so far has shown tremendous success, and I'm very happy with it. At the same time, I want to make sure people understand the idea that in those events, like you can have drawdown events, and why it's important to understand both the positives and the negatives is making someone holistically aware of a solution like this. But in contrast to traditional trading or being a day trader, like that's not my experience. And in contrast, I'm seeing 20% growth. These are things that I can explain without like taking years of experience into example, yet I'm having these kind of results. So like in that sense, yeah, I absolutely, I could recommend it is just going in, understanding holistically what it means to go into something like this.
Yeah, it is a speculative vehicle and everything has its own risk. But from your point of view, using it thus far, I think you're on a good route to becoming a proud supporter and user of the product for sure. What made you go with Nurp versus any other, or did you not look at any other?
In during my reviews, the biggest thing that stood out to me is Nurp stood by their numbers. And so, and hey, we actually publicly post our trades through my FX book and show that growth and the trades that are happening openly. It is a big thing. Is this isn't a snake oil salesman where we're going to promise it to you, but you know our books we keep them hidden because like no people could derive how we've built our algorithm or whatever their excuse is. And as well as having that personal referral from someone that I know and trust is going, okay, you know what, that from that step moving forward, I already have someone who's experienced it not just like a couple of months, but a couple of years. He's experienced drawdown events. He has like personal, the good, the bad, as well as going, here's what to look out for kind of thing when moving forward with something like this. And as well as really seeing firsthand, especially in the MyFX book, that really stood out to me is like Nurse is standing by what they're doing.
Yeah, I mean, I publicly go on YouTube every single week and show my own accounts. So I've even showed my losses. It's all there. It's all visible for anyone to watch. So yeah, transparency is one of our core values, and that's something that I always make sure to keep at the forefront of the marketing. So to hear you say that is assuring, knowing that I'm getting that across to the viewers. So thank you.
Absolutely.
Well, this was amazing. I just appreciate your time here, and you've really answered everything I needed to hear. And I'm pretty sure any viewers that would like to hear. Do you have any questions for me?
No, not at this time, but thank you.
All right, awesome. Well, it's been a pleasure, Jordan, and I hope to see you in the Circle community.
Absolutely.
All right, bye.